slide, I'm all in. For my people, I'm a ride, I'm all in. I'm done appearing you provide until the end. I put it on my family ties, I'm desperate to win. I'm a step up, I'm a slide, I'm all in. For my people, I'm a ride, I'm all in. I'm done appearing you provide until the end. I put it on my family ties, I'm desperate to win. Generational wealth, it brings freedom or death. But this is holy breath, so I'm freeing myself. I got knowledge of self and a hell of a breath. Keep a positive vibe, strategic when I step. You went against the grain, and you slandered my name. Betrayed our sacred trust and brought us both shame. I'm talking pure pain. How could you envy me? I was my brother's keeper. How could you do this me? I heard your silent hissing and all that sneak dissing. This is God's plan. You plotted, but you missed me. So as I unfold, witness my success. I'm a phoenix in flight, fearless in the face of death. So while I'm still here, I'm applying pressure. I know these devils jealous, and my enemies are zealous. I keep my head on the swivel, even though I'm really careless. December cards for the peace, so don't get beheaded. I'm a step up, I'm a slide, I'm all in. For my people, I'm a ride, I'm all in. I'm done appearing you provide until the end. And I put it on my family ties, I'm desperate to win. I'm a step up, I'm a slide, I'm all in. For my people, I'm a ride, I'm all in. I'm done appearing you provide until the end. And I put it on my family ties, I'm desperate to win. Whatever happened to the love we open enemies? My only vision of unity's vivid memories. I used to feel that the struggle was the bond that made us brothers. Why must we fight on each other? In the end, we all suffer. Crabs in the trap falling by climbing, reaching for freedom. But our future seeds are dying young, it's a shortage of leaders. I just buried my comrade, and he used to serve the people. Then I watched the people betray him and justify the evil. Even though the angels are present, demons are in the sky. They contemplating on my demise, and this I can't deny. My ministry of death is immortal of the vine. The epic will of Allah in the seventh of the time. Last of the dying breed, but I'm willing to sacrifice. Yeah, these are trying times of affliction, many stripes. Every passion of my life is to be a living legend and lead my people to liberation, cause I was destined.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Islamism. Peace, love, and law at all costs. Uncle Ajit Sanel family. And we want to give honors to all of you who are on the manifest in this new era and time. You know, uplifting fallen humanity, teaching the people to be themselves, because that's what we do. I want to welcome our family to another drawing, and this one is actually for the community. You know, we want to make sure that our family get some clarity and insight as we just came across a particular situation, and we want to address this so that the public may be able to get a grand drawing. It has to be addressed, and we're going to make sure we address it appropriately. But as we always like to do, we like to rise upon the seven and give all praises to the great God, and honors to his holy prophet, honors to our holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, El Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, that is. Give honors to my Moorish kin once again, here, there, and everywhere. And therefore honors to all of you who are continuously honoring yourselves by being yourselves. I give honors to my Grand National Seal. I give honors to my Grand National Emblem, National Flag, Divine Constitution and Bylaws, and honors to all of you who are indeed a living manifestation and personification of everything, and I do mean everything, that our holy prophet brought to make us a nation. I want to welcome you again, family, to another grand drawing. And a lot of times when we get into the realm of educating our people, there come times where we have to address certain matters, so to speak. And there has been indeed a matter that has arisen once again, and I don't believe this will be the last time we have to deal with this particular measure. But this is my last time in plan of dealing with it. You know, we were just sitting down and just so happened to be letting YouTube cycle through its many different functions, and we just so happened to catch a portion in which we're going to play in a few seconds. so that our family can see why we have this special measure on the manifest. And we're going to keep it on the high, even though we got to address some individuals in the low. You know, we ain't going to say some individuals, but an individual in the low. But what I want to do, our brother, I want to give honors to our brother Marvin Edwards Bay, you know, Consul General of Texas, the Moorish American government, and honors to all of the officials in the Moorish American government, all of those who are on the front line teaching their people to be themselves. You know, because if we are not here to teach our people, then who is? If we are not the ones to teach our people, then who will? You know, there's no one that will come to free us, scaling on the clouds, you know, falling out of the sky, whatever you want to think about. We are the ones whom we await. And as soon as we recognize this as a people and come out of the sleep and the slumber of mental slavery, that's what Noble Drew Ali said we suffer from, then we can most definitely rise to the occasion as a people. But as long as we allow ourselves to become pawns, you know, of the adversary, the common enemy, we will always find ourselves buried in our own ignorance. So I want to call forth my beloved brother, and I give honors to him, Marvin Edwards Bay, Consul General. I want to call you forth, brother, to read from the Moorish Holy Quran for me. And I want you to read from the chapter dealing with the five folds of man. And I want you to go into dealing with the insufficiency of knowledge. I want you to read that for us, brother.
Okay, hold on. Let me pull it up.
Yes, sir. Gratitude, grand man. Take your time.
Okay, with insufficiency. Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay, John, page 59. Okay, Islam. Rising, giving all praise to the great God Allah, giving highest honor to his prophet, our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, El Haj Sharif Abdul Ali. Give high honor to our theocratic government, our Moorish American government. Give high honors to our Act One. I give high honors to all of our officials. I give high honors to our committee in the Adept Hierophant for hosting this class tonight. And I'll begin reading chapter 65, Holy Instruction from the Prophet, the Insufficiency of Knowledge. If there is anything lovely, if there is anything desirable, if there is anything within the reach of man that is worthy of praise, is it not knowledge? And yet, who is it that attaineth it? The statesman proclaimeth that he hath it. The ruler of the people claimeth the praise of it, but findeth the subject that he possesseth it. Evil is not the requisite to man, neither can vice be necessary to be tolerated. Yet how many evils are permitted by the connivance of the laws? How many crimes committed by the decree of the council? But be wise, O ruler, and learn, O thou that art to command the nations. One crime authorized by thee is worse than the escape of 10 from punishment. When the people are numerous, when thy sons increase about thy table, sendest thou then not out to slay the innocent, and to fall before the sword of him whom they have not offended? If the objects of thy desire demanding the lives of 1,000 saith thou not, I will have it. Surely thou forgettest that he who created thee, created also these, and that their blood is as rich as thine. Sayest thou that justice cannot be executed without wrong? Surely thine own words condemn thee. Thou who flatterest with false hopes the criminal, that he may confess his guilt? Art not thou unto him a criminal? Or art thou guiltless, because he cannot punish it? When thou commandest to the torture him whom is but suspected of ill, darest thou to remember that thou mayest right the innocent? Is thy purpose answered by the event? Is thy soul satisfied with his confession? Pain will enforce him to say what is not, as easy as what is, and anguish has caused innocence to accuse herself. That thou mayest not kill him without cause, that those worse than kill him, that thou mayest prove if he be guilty, that destroyeth him innocent. O blindness to all truth, O insufficiency of the wisdom of the wise, know when thy judge shall be thee account for this. Thou shalt wish 10,000 guilty to have gone free rather than one innocent to stand forth against thee. Insufficient as thou art to the maintenance of justice, how shalt thou arrive at the knowledge of truth? How shalt thou ascend to the footstep of her throne? As the owl is blinded by the radiance of the sun, so shall the brightness of her countenance dazzle thee in thy approaches. If thou wouldst mount unto her throne, first bow thyself at her footstool. If thou wouldst arrive at the knowledge of her, first inform thyself of thine own ignorance. More worth is she than pearls. Therefore seek her carefully. The emerald and the sapphire and the ruby are as dirt beneath her foot. Therefore pursue her manfully. The way to her is labor. Attention is the pilot that must conduct thee into her port. But weary not on the way, for when art arrived at her, the toil shall be to thee for pleasure. Say not unto it thyself, behold, truth breedeth hatred, and I will avoid it. Dissimulation raiseth friends, and I will follow it. Are not the enemies made by truth better than the friends obtained by flattery? Naturally, doth man desire the truth, yet when it is before him, he will not apprehend it. And if it forces itself upon him, he is not offended at it. The fault is not in the truth, for that is amiable, but the weakness of man beareth not his splendor. Wouldst you see thine insufficiency more plainly? View at thy devotions. To what end was religion instituted, but to teach thee thine infirmities, to remind thee of thine weakness, to show thee that from heaven alone art thou to hope for good? Doth it not remind thee that thou art dust? Doth it not tell thee that thou art ashes? And behold, repentance, is it not frailty? When thou givest an oath, when thou swearest thou wilt not deceive, behold, it spreadeth shame upon thy face, and upon the face of him that receiveth it. Learn to be just, repentance may be forgotten. Learn to be honest, and oaths are unnecessary. The shorter follies are the better. Say not therefore to thyself, I will not play the fool by halves. He that heareth his own faults with patience shall reprove another with boldness. He hath giveth a denial with reason, shall suffer a repulse with moderation. If thou art suspected, answer with freedom. Whom should suspect affright except the guilty? The tender of heart is turned from his purpose by supplications. The proud is rendered before obstinate by entreaty. The sense of thine insufficiency commandeth thee to hear, but not be just. Thou must hear without thy passions. Islam.
Islam, grand man, we give honors to you for that grand read. And gratitude, brother, for your time and your diligence of being on the manifest, standing in defense of this impregnable doctrine. I want to touch on a few things right now, but brother, dealing with that special draw. Notice that we're dealing with what we call the insufficiency of knowledge. You see, this is very key. The insufficiency of knowledge. And it's telling you the reaction of those who don't have sufficient knowledge. Knowledge means to know, and know means to apply. So if we can't apply what it is we know, then in all actuality, it's of no worth then. You see, we must make knowledge applicable to ourselves. This particular book here, I want to come from as well in support, The Reliance of the Traveler. I want to come from this particular work. This is a classical manual on Islamic law before I move into dealing with this subject title. And so, one statement dealing with sacred knowledge here, my brother, and people that are watching, it states a single learned Muslim is harder on the devil than 1,000 worshippers. So in other words, we use the term Muslim. The word Muslim means one who submits to the will of Allah. And to us, we know a Muslim is one who has become the will. We come in as those who submit to the will. But when we become fruition and we evolve into being those who are truly living, are striving to move according to the great God Allah, we become his will made manifest. It's not an arrogant statement. That's not a statement to usurp the power of the Creator. That is saying if you are in line with divinity and your will is linked up with divine will, then whatever you will, the great God Allah will oblige you, and he will allow you to be able to unfold certain measures. I don't care who you think you are or what you think you know. If it's not the will of the great God Allah, certain actions that you demonstrate will not unfold to produce fruit. Some people may produce fruit and unfold, and then they may lose that influence. And that's as a result of most cases of us being ungrateful, of what the great God has given us out of the lot of his provision. You see, and this is what I want to address in regards to dealing with, this particular situation that I'm going forth to address. And I want our family to know that we are not coming from a level of passions and desires. We're not coming from a level of dealing with the ego, and having the ego hurt and all this type of demonstration here. We are coming forth to warn our people, because Prophet Noble Drew Ali told the Moors that a friend will warn you. So this is a divine warning that we putting out here tonight. We don't get caught up into the mud slanging and all this other crazy stuff. So I want to give y'all the definition of a few things. In the Grand Quran, it mentioned that, that Allah, allows under certain circumstances when it's time for one to speak the truth and one is speaking out against injustice. We're gonna paraphrase it. He gives one the opportunity that they can speak the truth and be blood raw and uncut with that truth. I won't go into the extent of using a bunch of crazy language, but we definitely gonna be strong with what we bring to the manifest, because we don't demonstrate, in a lot of profanity and a lot of, ad hominem, so to speak. But before I go into this measure, I want to bring something else from The Reliance of the Traveler. because it's a lot of information in here that is very, and this is basically law according to the Creator, and how He Himself would have man act accordingly, so to speak. This was pretty much compiled by a lot of scholars, in the past. It's universal. It's universal. So let me give you one here. Here it is. It says, and this is dealing with the hurting or the reviling, Muslims. Allah the Most High says, those who hurt believing men and women who have done nothing to deserve it shall bear the burden of calumny and open sin. All right, that makes sense, right? Then it says, do not spy or do not slander one another. And actually, the first statement was from Surah 33 in relation to Ayat 58. And then it says, do not spy or do not slander one another. Quran 49, Ayat 12. It says, woe to whoever disparages others behind their back or to their face. Quran, Surah 104, Ayat 1. And those who love that scandal should be spread concerning the believers shall have a painful torment in this world and the next. Quran 24:19. The Prophet, Allah bless him and give him peace, said, the Muslim or the Muslim is the brother of the other Muslim. He does not oppress him, hang back from coming to his aid, or belittle him. It is sufficiently wicked for someone to demean his fellow Muslim. By Allah, he does not believe. By Allah, he does not believe. By Allah, he does not believe. Someone asked, who, O Messenger of Allah? And he said, whose neighbor is not safe from his evil conduct. Someone said, O Messenger of Allah, and so spends her nights praying and her days fasting. But there's something in her tongue that maliciously injures her neighbors. And he replied, there is no good in her. She will go to hell. When I was taken up in the ascent of the mirage, I passed by a people with fingernails of copper. And this is Muhammad ibn Abdullah speaking. For those who have interest in why we are quoting from this source, Noble Drew Ali mentioned in his hadiths, he said, when I was Muhammad. In other words, indicating that the spirit of a prophet is universal regardless of what climb and time they come in. That's why he would refer to himself as Yehoshua will come again. When I was Muhammad. He would refer to himself when I was Noah. All of these things are significant to understand this, and this is how we draw when we come through these messages. We're dealing with the spirit of what's being stated. So he said that basically, he said, when I was taken up in ascent of the mirage, I passed by a people with fingernails of copper who were raking their faces and chests with them. I asked, who are they, Gabriel? And he said, they are those who slandered others, ate people's flesh, and attacked their reputations. No man charges another with corruption or unbelief save that the charge returns against himself, if the other is not as he said. Do not revile the dead, for they have gone to what they have sent ahead. And there's another measure here where it states also in regards to harming the friends of Allah. I know in one aspect it says, he who is hostile to a friend, the wali of mine, I declare war against. My slave approaches me with nothing more beloved to me than what I have made obligatory for him. My slave keeps drawing near to me to voluntary works until I love him. And when I love him, I am his hearing in which he hears. I am his sight in which he sees. I am his hand with which he seizes. I am his foot with which he walks. And if he asks me, I will surely give to him. If he seeks refuge in me, I will surely protect him. You see, these are the friends of Allah. So in other words, when one becomes a wali of Allah, a friend of Allah, Allah will become the eyes through which they see, the ears with which they hear, the hand with which they seize, the leg with which they walk. Now, in a high science, some people would say, well, that's arm, leg, arm, head. That's a grand drawing, because it also says that the 5 limbs of man will bear witness against him on the day of judgment. And every day is a day of judgment, to where your eyes can get you in trouble if you ain't careful, to where your ears can get you in trouble if you ain't careful, to where your mouth can get you in trouble if you ain't careful. You see what I'm saying? Every day is a day where these things, eyes are the ears and the mouth, all these things are windows to the soul. They can lead to a lot of bad karma when it comes to people. And people don't know this, but the gates of karma are wide open right now. And that's why karma come in most cases very swift, very swift. And this is not something that we wish on somebody or we want to see people suffer, even our enemies. We don't look for our enemies to suffer, but most definitely we will address wrong when we see it. Just as our chapter said in the insufficiency of knowledge. You see, we're not going to stop speaking the truth because somebody going to hate us for it. So for those of you who will hear this message or get this message, this is not coming from a level of hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, or any aspects that we ain't demonstrating like that. We speaking the truth right now. And this must be brought to the manifest, and I'm going to show you why in a minute. There's another measure here that deals with spying on the Muslims and trying to reveal what is considered their weaknesses. There's a saying in the world of al-Islam, or Islamic world, among the Muslims, that one strive to cover their brother's faults, or whatever the case may be. If you feel like one is seen at a particular level, then you cover their faults. You don't try to become their judge. You don't become Allah for them, or whatever the case may be. I don't care if a thing is true or whether it is untruth. You don't get out there and try to slander one's character. You see? Now, if you're telling the truth, speak the truth. You see, but don't speak the truth out of malice. Don't speak the truth out of hatred and jealousy and envy, because now you are no longer speaking the truth at this particular degree. You basically just trying to get your rocks off, and you have some idiosyncrasy, and a reason why you're doing it. But it goes on and it says, if someone is spying and entails undermining Islam and its people, or the killing, captivity, enslavement, or plundering of the Muslims, or anything of the like, then he is one of those who strive for corruption in the land, destroying tillage and offspring, and he is subject to death and deserves torment of hellfire. May Allah save us from it. Anyone who spies necessarily knows that if ordinary tale-bearing is an anomaly, a spy's carrying information is far more abominable and heinous. So this is talking about, one that is, pretty much an apostate, one that hears a thing and they take it into secrecy. Read Proverbs 13:3. It tell you, he who open wide his mouth, basically shall come to ruin. But he that keepeth his mouth keepeth his soul. That's a powerful one. Proverbs 13:3. It also says, beware of envy, for envy consumes good works as fire consumes wood. None of you believes until he love for his brother what he loved for himself. You see, so these are all perfect things, family. And I'm gonna close with that particular measure, and one more measure dealing with slander. Slander, the tale-bearing, along with slandering, are the ugliest and most frequent met with qualities among men, few people being safe from them. I have begun with them because of the widespread need to warn people of them. Slander, agiba, means to mention anything concerning a person that he would dislike, whether about his body, religion, everyday life, self, disposition, property, son, father, wife, servant, turban, garment, gait, movement, smiling, dissoluteness, frowning, cheerfulness, or anything else connected with him. Mention means by word, writing, sign, indicating with one's eye, hand, head, and so forth. Body refers to saying such a things that someone's blind, lame, bleary eyed, bald, short, tall, dark, or pale. Religion includes saying that he is corrupt, a thief, cannot be trusted, a tyrant, and does not care about prayer, does not watch to avoid filth, does not honor his father, and does not spend zakat on what it should be spent on, or does not avoid slandering others. Everyday life includes saying that his manners are poor. He does not care about others, does not think he owes anyone anything, that he talks, eats, sleep too much. He sleeps or sits when he should not. Father refers to saying such things as his father is corrupt. His father is an Indian, Nabatene, African, cobbler, draper, carpenter, blacksmith, weaver, if mentioned derogatorily. Disposition includes saying that he has a bad character, is arrogant, a show-off, over-hasty, domineering, incapable, faint-hearted, irresponsible, gloomy, dissolute, and so forth. Clothing means saying that such things as that his sleeves are too loose, his garment hangs too low, is dirty, or the like. Other remarks can be judged by the above examples. Determining factor is mentioning about a person what he would not like. Tale-bearing, as for it consists of quoting someone's words to another in a way that worsens relations between them. And it goes on dealing with how the evidence deals with slandering and tale-bearing and all these types of things about one's trying to destroy somebody else's character, slander in published works. When people publish works or broadcast measures just for solely for the purpose of slander. And they got many different degrees of this, and we can go into it one day. But I want to now give you insight on where we're going with this particular measure here. And give me 1 second here, family. This is very important. We want to make sure that our people get a grand drawing off of this. Give me 1 second here. Off of this. Oh, okay, there we go. I'm just trying to make sure that our family get a chance to get a view of what we putting out here so that everybody can get a drawing on this, because I don't want to have to address this measure again, but we will make sure that our family can get this insight into this particular matter. Okay, we're going to do that right there. Okay, there we go. Let's see here. Go here. And Brother Marvin Edwards Bay, you still there, right?
Islam.
Okay, it's long. Yes, sir. And we're getting ready to play these clips in a second here, so our people can see what's going on. Okay. Give me 1 second. And we're gonna have to have somebody on the manifest in the future time, brother, to have this stuff done for us. We still growing in the media as well, though, so praise be to Allah nevertheless. Okay. Give me 1 second here. All right. I think that's pretty good so far. So on. All right, there we go. We're gonna leave that right there, and the rest of it, the people will pick up, as we go along. So let me show you what's going on, family. Why I labeled this particular broadcast as I have, and why I'm here. And I just came across this earlier. Let me share my screen real quick and show you something. Okay. Is my screen sharing, brother?
Islam, yes, sir.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
showing you.
Yeah, I know. I'm just making sure I'm here we go. This is where we're gonna start at right here.
Okay, I see that.
This was a heavy one, brother. We got to come back to a part two. It's 12:09 on the East Coast. We got to come back to a part two. Bleak Gilliam. Bleak Gilliam, please email me, brother. Trying to get you and Sean on a show. Them two brothers, man, they knock these frauds down off this social media platform all the time. But with that being said, let me also share this real quick. Again, family, real soon I will be doing this presentation on Elihu Pleasant Bey, the one that does the Moorish American government. Oh, yes. Where he brought prostitutes and drugs into the prison system. The sisters was dressing up as Moorish American Muslims, and they were actually selling their body under his leadership. He went to prison for it. He got out. He left the Moorish. I mean, he was exiled from a group known as Moorish Science Temple of America Incorporated, and he continues to move on this weird little hustle game, and it's moved right now by his front runner, named a guy named Kamishan Adapt. And now let me just say that many people like to say, well, everybody make mistakes. Everybody make mistakes. Well, when you're conscious and you claim to be conscious, some mistakes cannot be tolerated. That's right. Now, if he was pimping sisters before he put on affairs, if he was pimping sisters and selling dope before he put on affairs, then of course, when you put on affairs, you don't do those things no more. That's right. Before I put on my affairs, I was doing some crazy things too. But once I put on the feds and I began to propagate the teachers of Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the principles here on Moorish World TV without even mentioning the prophet name, I no longer did those things, And so when someone try to come back and say, well, Tarhaka Bey, you used to do this, or Tarhaka Bey, I heard you did this, or Tarhaka Bey, you did that. This is the reason why I chose the teachers of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, so I won't continue to do these things. That's right. With that being said, this brother had affairs on taking cocaine and other illegal substances into the prison system, and he used our sisters that was dressed as Moorish Americans and brought them into the prison system. And because of that, we still have him running around today. That's a brief little article right here. We have him running around today where he can no longer be the face, so he has put somebody else to be a face and share these crazy concepts of Moorish American governments and all of this crazy stuff. And so I want you to stay tuned, family. When you see this up, you're going to be very, very, very enlightened how we have people moving amongst us just to mislead, misguide, and get into our pocketbook and bank accounts. They could care less about your salvation. They want to get in your bank account and in your pocketbook. With that being said, we got James Muhammad in the building. Thank you, brother.
Okay, so you see this right here, family.
Yes, sir.
Now, I ain't said nothing to this brother since the last time we had a discussion. But this is a prime example of what we talking about when we say slander.
Right.
First and foremost, I already addressed this issue, before. Right. I already addressed this lie and slander that was put out here. And what he is doing, because he see the momentum of what we're doing and teaching the people. Right. This is why I call him Agent Trojan Horse. This is why I call him an agent provocateur.
Right.
Somebody's sending this man to do this. He ain't just
That's
waking up doing this, family. You see what I'm saying?
yes, sir.
Somebody's sending him to do this. They see the momentum that we have in teaching the people and reaching the people. And so he runs and follows suit. This ain't just with the Moors. He did it with the new Black Panther Party. He did it
Wow.
with the NAFC, whatever you want to call them, that little group over. He did it with, average person in the conscious community. This guy,
Hmm.
lives off of controversy.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? And then he hides in his basement when people show up on his front doorstep.
Hmm.
The new Black Panther Party showed up and they say that he could see the jack boots from his basement,
Wow.
looking from the bottom, and all they
Right.
could see was his eyes. But nevertheless, this is one that would like to come out and slander, the
Hmm.
chairman of the Moorish American government, and then, slander me, don't know me. We met one time. I got a picture we took together, and right after that, he was slandering the government then.
Hmm.
And so that let me know that this guy is disingenuous.
Right.
This guy he snoops around, and also not only that, he's going against every grand body and Moorish movement that has ever been made manifest, even the ones that he got his credentials from,
Wow.
and running around calling himself the people's grand sheik.
Hmm.
You see, and
Wow.
so yeah, well, we're
Yes,
gonna show
sir.
you something. I'm gonna show you how I already debunked the lie. And
Hmm.
he and another guy, they call him Lord Abba Lord, Shake Way Hell, whatever you want to call him. This particular brother,
Hmm.
came on the call, and they both were trying to slander the chairman based on what they heard.
Right. Right. That's
These
ridiculous.
individuals wasn't even 6, 7 years old,
Hmm.
when these events unfolded, so to speak.
Right.
See what I'm
Right.
saying? These guys was babies. And now here he is going out here slandering the chairman based on the lie. And then he gonna put me in the situation when
Hmm.
I wasn't nowhere on the scene.
Right.
Talking about people selling drugs and get out there in social media and indicate like I'm selling drugs, like we running a criminal enterprise, brother.
Man,
That's slander, brother.
that is slander.
That's a real low down, dirty snake,
Right.
move to demonstrate like that. But
Yes, sir.
nevertheless, this is what you have to go through. And like I said to you earlier, I'm willing to bear that burden, of the
Right.
hatred that my chairman received the
Yes,
50
sir.
years on the manifest. You know, if it take that right there,
Right.
and me being hated,
Yeah.
because he was hated,
Right.
then get
Right.
ready for it for another 50 years,
Yes, sir.
100 years, or whatever the case may be. Because you right,
Absolutely.
I'm going to stand up in the manifest on the paint,
Right.
and represent my chairman. I'm going to represent this government until
Yes,
I
sir.
drop this physical guard,
Yes, sir.
you know,
I'm
and I'm
with you with
about
that.
self determination, and I'm going to teach my people. That's what it is. So when
Absolutely.
it come down to an individual of that caliber demonstrating that type of slander, it
Hmm.
tells you the type of character he is. And like I said before, somebody sent that guy.
Right.
Trust me when I tell you that.
I believe
It's
that.
not a script, and he gonna be exposed sooner or later.
No
He
doubt.
gonna be exposed, brother. This is called neo-colonialism,
Hmm.
where you don't have to have a slave master outside of your community running it. You got
Hmm.
somebody now coming in that look just like you. He wear
Right.
the garb of Moorish America. He wear the
Wow.
garb of whatever the organization is he's told to infiltrate. And when
Hmm.
he go up into that particular organization, then his duty is to disrupt. His duty is to dismantle. His
Hmm.
duty is to slander,
Wow.
and try to destroy and tear down and drag out the true foundation. Same thing that Prophet Noble Drew Ali went through when he
Right.
lived. Let me get into some more of this right here. I want you got something you want to say, brother, before I go into these other videos,
Well,
brother
I
Mark.
tell you, yes, sir. Definitely. I tell you, a mind like I look at the mind that would come up with something like that. Um, I mean, it's really a sad situation. You know what I mean? Our people are suffering out here, and you got people like this coming up, challenging, not even challenging. But slandering the chairman, man, they got to be out of their mind. They can't be in their right mind. I mean, is the little crumb that he's getting is worth it? Apparently, it is for him to do this. But yeah, he's totally out of accord. And that type of behavior is unforgivable from my point of view. And I just say, all praise due to a great God Allah for our chairman. You know what I mean? For standing up for his people, regardless of what you know folks like that come up with, those devious minds, always conjuring up something from the basement, as you put it. And I just want to say gratitude for you, National Sister Grand Sheik, for all that you do. You know what I mean? Making it plain so that we can reach our people, and let them know that this is what we have to contend with, along with our people not knowing who they are, along with our people not having ever had the truth, because the European didn't give us the truth. And then here we got our own, well, those that look like our own doing the same thing that the Europeans did. And all the Europeans got to do is sit back and laugh. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just a sad state of affairs. And I want to say gratitude for you, God, man, for all that you do. Islam.
Yes, sir. Gratitude for the measure, brother. And I'm gonna say something too. You see, yeah, peace to the people in the chat. We give honors to your family. You welcome here. But I want to show y'all something about this particular individual, because this ain't too long and far off, from this particular time period where we are now. You see my screen sharing, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, check this out. This is this guy, Tarhaka Bay. This ain't too long ago.
Okay.
You see, he with a reputable brother there. As far as historical writing, brother Sheikh R. El-Wazir, I read his book, The Mukhar Bean Files, one of the best books with the history, that was ever written. But for him to come up on the brother like this and disrespect they work, you know what I mean? Like, everybody that gave him some type of accolade, he went against them. Look at this guy. We all come from the mud, so to speak. But, he right here, he looked weak and humble as he was, right?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But this is a guy that's barking all over the internet right now, in disrespect to the whole conscious community. Right. You see what I'm saying? Oh, how soon do we forget where we come from? How soon do we forget where we come from? And see, this is a guy, that I have been given information that this guy gets drunk and he beats his wife. You see? But is it necessary for me to get out here and try to go back and forth? That's his business if that's what he do. But my thing is, how can you get out here and slander somebody and say this did this before the feds? It was different when you doing it in affairs.
Wow.
You see? And I had people reach out to me and also tell me that this brother scammed them. If you look him up, also right here on the actual internet, right here, if you look this guy up, you'll see that there are a lot of people out here saying that he scammed them. You can click on it. What people say, he was talking about he was going to build this and build it. He done made a lot of adversaries out here. Look at that. You got people got their head in a hand. You know what I mean?
Yes,
but, this is agent provocateur activity, family. Right. So he criticized the Moorish American government for building along the line of self-government, but he went and established what he called a noble temple. That ain't got no link to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Now watch this right here. I'm going to show you where I destroyed this lie. I'm gonna show you something else he did. And I ain't even addressed it. I seen this stuff. He always doing it. I never pay attention to it. Watch
Right.
this.
The cash sign, because I put in a lot of work with this stuff. That's right. I went to work for y'all today. Family, the second thing that we're going to do is we got to get into the second one because we're going to build it up a little bit. So the second one that we got to get into, family.
So we just got the audio, right?
But let me share this.
You don't see the video?
This
No,
guy.
sir.
Okay, hold up.
This guy here.
Give me a sec.
Let
me make sure I do it. I want you to get the video and everything.
All right.
Okay, so you can see this. We need to make sure it's definitely documented. Okay, here it is right here. It's another
just debated on my channel. His name is Commission Adap. You follow me? His name is Commission Adap. Now, this guy follows a Moorish Science Temple of America that's not a Moorish Science Temple of America. You have people that have created their own rendition
of
Prophet Ali's teachings. As you can see, soon as you see affairs,
that's what happened when you try to make
would assume that they are part of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
To be,
but in fact, these people be just making up stuff as they go along, and they be duping people along the way. Not necessarily him. He just fell for the okie doke. You know what I mean? He just fall for the okie doke. And he just go along with the program. But now his leader is the charlatan. His leader is the real charlatan. Let me tell you about this. Now, this is not about his leader, but this is his leader. See this? This is his leader. His leader is called I think he's the chairman of the Moorish American government. You follow me? Now, his leader, from a young age, back in the 90s, he was a part of a Moorish Science Temple of America Incorporated, the same one that I just showed you the charter from the other guy. He was a part of this organization, but being a part of the organization, it's a prison right out of Virginia called Lawton Penitentiary. And in the 90s, they used the Religious Freedom Act to make sure that they could be alone with inmates under the guise of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Now, in the prison, what they would do is they will go into a private area of the prison, and while in the private area of the prison, they would have the sisters who came in dressing up as ministers of the Moorish Science Temple of America. They would have them sisters to perform sexual acts on the inmates, and they would get paid by the way of outside finances. So this was in the 90s. This is true story. I'm not making this up. This is true story. And what he would do is,
just because he says
not
it
only
is true,
would he have the sisters prostituting in the prison, but he will also have the sisters to put cocaine, weed, heroin, all up in their garbs. You know, the big Muslim, you know how Muslims wear the big clothes. He will have them putting drugs all up in their garbs, and they would bring it into the prison system. Now, he ultimately got caught, but I'm going to tell the story here another day. But because he was exiled from the Moorish Science Temple of America Incorporated, he created what we know today as the Moorish American government, because he felt as though he couldn't go back to the Moorish Science Temple of America Incorporated. So what he did was he created this here called the Moorish American government in order to perpetuate his same thing. You follow me? And since 2010, he has been pushing this idea, usurping Prophet Noble Drew Ali's teachings for the sake of saying that we need a government and we are a government. Now, that's another story we'll get into another time. But now, the brother right here, Commission Adap, he has fell for it hook, line, and sinker. And so, because he fell for it hook, line, and sinker, I actually one day pulled him up, not him, his leader, and asked him, why is it that he changed, why did he change the Moorish American flag? And I think he took offense to that. And from that day forward, his little henchmen tried to intellectually challenge me all on social media and all that type of thing. And that was a few years ago. So the reason why this brother is a runner-up for, not because of his leader, because his leader is who he is, but he's a runner-up because he follows the blind. It's the blind leading the blind. Now listen to this. This leader here says that, I want y'all to hear me good now. This leader here, the one on the left-hand side, he says that he got the authority to do what he do in creating a government because he had a dream. And in this dream, Prophet Noble Drew Ali came to him in a dream and told him to change the flag. Prophet Noble Drew Ali came to him in a dream and told him to change the Moorish American flag into what he created, and I'll show it to you in a second. There we go, right here. So Prophet Noble Drew Ali told him to, in a dream now, don't forget that part, in a dream, told him to change the Moorish American flag to this, the flag that he's standing under right there, from the original flag. And if you're not familiar with it, it's just a red flag with a 5-pointed green star in the center that people tends to mistake for Morocco. You see what I'm saying? So this is what he did. So no harm, no foul to him. You know what I'm saying? But to Commission Adap, who jumped out the window and started saying things that he believe him regardless. He doesn't care, you know, because he talks to the prophet on the astral plane, and you don't have to believe in the astral plane. I believe in the astral plane and all that old crazy stuff. And that's what he said. And so, again, let me show y'all the Moorish flag. This is the Moorish flag right here. You know what I'm saying? This is it right here. This is the Moorish flag. And this is the flag that Prophet Noble Drew Ali flew. But anyway, this guy said he don't care what nobody say. He gonna follow this man to the end. Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's what he said. And so I recently had a debate with him. And hey, it was a serious debate, family. It was definitely a serious debate. And I think it's worthy of, let me tell you something. I'm going to put the link in the bottom of here, but it was a serious debate. And like I said, I think it's really worthy of y'all checking it out. Give me 1 second real quick. I'll give you one quick highlight before we go to the next person. You know what I mean? Let me give you one quick highlight before we go to the next person.
We'll get into it in a second. But listen to this. The slander, again, of me and the chairman. Now, how you doing? Right on point. What's going on with your family? Welcome. Make sure you like and subscribe and share this, because we're exposing some agents and agent provocateurs right now. They can't run no more, and they can't say that garbage to the people no more. So basically what happened is that this individual don't know me. You know, last time he was talking crazy like that, he hung up on me. And 13 hours later, I was in Baltimore the next day. He was there in our meeting. And I said, yeah, this is the brother that you were talking to. Yeah, oh, brother, it's just the internet. You know what I mean? And it's such and such and such. He was shocked to see me there. And so we let him get on our rostrum, and he spoke as if he wanted to speak, on a level of support. Like he was cool with unity and all that right there. Then he go to slandering us. The next day I get a call from the Moor, and his brother Tarhaka going in on the government right after we let him get on our rostrum and teach. And so from there on, I knew that he was a snake. Like I said, we took a picture together, hand clasping, but, the brother wasn't honorable. Even my God woman say the brother, his facial expression, changed, once the picture was taken. So all of that is indicative of agent provocateur activity. And I'm telling you this not to slander. I'm telling you this because this is what it is. This man has been running to and fro throughout the conscious community, slandering, not only us, but slandering even those who supposed to made him grand sheiks. You see what I'm saying? But then he talking about but what did Prophet Noble Drew Ali say about seeing him in a dream, brother Marvin Edwards Bay?
What did the prophet say
Right.
about?
He said if you see him in a dream, he said what?
He said, "Don't say nothing unless I say something to you."
Right. And then he also said that if you see him in a dream, it's like seeing him in real life because Satan can't imitate his form.
Right.
Right?
Yes, sir.
So if Prophet Noble Drew Ali said this in his hadiths, and this has been passed down, he basically shows a lack of belief in what Noble Drew Ali teaches. He's one of the ones that said Prophet Noble Drew Ali never went to Kemet because he wasn't taught that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And he couldn't be taught that because of the lineage he came through. His teacher didn't get that teaching.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
He had no knowledge of it. You see?
And he's supposed to be a follower, right?
That's right.
That's incorrect.
He's supposed to have been a sheik made. He said a sheik say he had a dream and made him a grand sheik.
Wow.
So then that means his sheikdom isn't up to par then if it's an issue with the dreaming, because his sheik, he said, made him a sheik, after that.
Right.
So
yeah, he's
seeing a dream. So this is hypocrisy. Now let me show you. Go ahead.
He's like a chameleon.
That's exactly what he is.
Colors.
That's exactly what he is. He conversates.
Mm-hmm.
Now remember, this is the same brother. This is the same brother. Now look at this. We're gonna show it to you again. It's the same brother, as weak and humble as one should be.
Right.
This is where he was. This ain't been too long ago. This brother ain't been in the field of Moorish science that long.
Right.
He just came into the movement maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Wow.
He just showed up. This man ain't been out here like this. I know everybody in social media that was out here demonstrating this stuff. I was watching when YouTube got, and you right on point. Our time is now. We must reclaim what's rightfully ours. And that's why we got to expose these unrighteous pretenders. We putting them on trial. The time of the age of provocateur is over with.
That's right.
They're going to continue to fall by climbing. Now watch this. Look at this. I'm going to show you how I expose these guys. Now watch this. I was doing a show on Sarnetta, and he decided to ambush on the show, him and Lord Apple. Watch how I do him with the same information that he getting ready to try to bring out in a few days, I guess, from now. Watch this.
He's taking these statements that was said that the prophet said, and then he's saying the prophet said.
Now, this is after he had been running from me about 3, 4, 5 years. He was running from me. And then he finally come up on my call when he see me on. Every time he see me advancing and teaching the people, he tries to make a nuisance on my posts.
Wow.
And that's why he did what he did in that video tonight. He finna get ready to slander me and the chairman again. Watch this. Watch this.
That's all he's doing. That's all he's doing. It's hearsay. But what I'm telling you is that show me out of the prophet's mouth. Not that someone said that the prophet said that the prophet said. And this is what he's using. But now let's get me back here, and I'm going to close on this, Anetta. What happened was, the reason why this is called a Moorish American government, in which he's under and not a temple. The leader of the Moorish American government, right? The leader of the Moorish American government that you said you interviewed, he was a part of the Moorish Science Temple of America Incorporated. He was exiled out of the Moorish Science Temple of America Incorporated because he brought sisters dressed up in Moorish garb into Lawton in the early 90s, selling dope and prostitutes. Yeah, they sold dope and they prostituted themselves in Lawton prison. See, and so when he was exiled out of the Moorish American government after cooperating with the feds to shut down Lawton prison because he got caught on videotape, they even had the prisoners in there recording him, his leader. Had him in there recording him while the sisters was prostituting, and they were selling dope, they were selling weed, they were selling crack in Lawton prison. He cooperated with the.
They didn't even have crack back then.
Lawton down, and this is so clear.
Did they have crack?
On congressional hearings. They had a congressional hearing. He not denied it.
Damn, Tarhaka, you're doing a lot of barking there, baby. God damn. Hold on, I'm gonna let you respond, but this brother is barking loud, man.
That's it, brother.
What you call it, barking?
If you want to debate anything, we can debate that. I'll bring out the congressional record. There's a congressional record with this leader on it. He's a snitch. He bought dope in prison and then he snitched. So let me finish real quick.
Hold on, let him finish, brother. He's gonna finish in a minute.
This is it. I know he's sweating now. He's sweating. It's okay. But listen, so because he could not return to the Moorish Science Temple of America, what he thought was the legitimate Moorish Science Temple of America, in order to demonstrate Moorish, he created this fictitious ideal called the Moorish American government, where in fact it's just his little house in Virginia, and he's calling it a government. He created a little flag, and then he created all of this literature and calling himself a government. And this flunky, that I gotta call a spade, he follows this stuff hook, line, and sinker, and he's scared to turn back. Now, last but not least, is a debate on my channel, and I will put the link in here. I dragged this guy for 2.5 hours, showed him no mercy. He is no challenge for any Moorish American. Not me, not Lord Abba, not anybody. This guy needs to go back in this corner. And don't even talk about the cat. The cat will drag him twice as hard as I dragged him, because I don't cuss in the cat thing. I'm done.
Hey, but
Okay.
Tarhaka, let me ask you before you
I
go.
noticed this guy keeps saying that the chairman was exiled from the Moorish Science Temple. That's another lie.
Right.
The chairman left the Moorish Science Temple. He had the charter to Temple number 13. He could have opened up his own temple if he wanted to. The chairman is the only one that had in his possession a real charter that has Prophet Noble Drew Ali's signature on it.
Wow.
You see, unlike any other Moorish Science Temple out there, that's the difference between them and the chairman.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Now watch this.
So, hold on, Tarhaka. Did Prophet Noble Drew Ali had the title El Hajj?
No, that's a lie.
Okay.
That's a lie.
Okay. Now let me
And I don't need that for him to be a prophet. That's a lie.
Let me respond to
Please.
this nonsense. That
Go ahead.
guy
Respond, brother.
brings. I'm
Hey.
going to show you something that this brother ain't telling y'all. One, when the chairman was in the government at that time, the chairman was the grand governor of the Moorish Science Temple, right?
And I meant
All
temple.
Love L,
Right.
who was the leader and supreme grand sheik at that particular time. Him and the chairman basically had a head of running in because the chairman was exposing them for what they wasn't doing. He was bringing All Love L up on charges, right? So what they did, All Love L went out to the chairman's trailer because he used to move in mobile homes when he was in Washington and everywhere throughout the land. So when All Love L came out to his trailer, he begged the chairman not to bring him up on charges before the grand body. Now let's get deep now. All Love L was an ex-police officer, a real police now. I ain't talking about, CI confidential. He was literally an ex-police officer in uniform. Guess who he was appointed by, Brother Sonetta?
Oh.
He was appointed by Kirkman Baker, this confidential informant that confidentially informed on the brother known as the Hammer, Ira Johnson Baker. So when he appointed this police, because he told them when they came to get him, he said, I'm over here, look, I'm the one you're looking for. He was the one appointed a police officer in the place, and that's why All Love L set the chairman up when he brought him up on charges. And guess who had the drugs in the prison? The chairman was the one that was teaching behind the walls in Lorton. He was taking sisters there. He was taking brothers there to teach the Moors. And it was people in the organization that was working for All Love L that did these things behind his back. I know because somebody from Chicago told me. They say, man, I'm going to be honest with you, brother. I took part in that demonstration. And the chairman didn't have nothing to do with that. He didn't even know what was going on. He said, I'm going to be straight up more. They set him up.
Now, listen now.
Mm-hmm.
This is a brother that was actually participating in this drug ring. Told me out his own mouth from Chicago. He said the chairman didn't have nothing to do with what was going on, brother.
Right.
He didn't even know it was going on.
Wow.
So when the chairman would be taking the people in there and laundering, teaching, it was people that was in that group that was taking drugs in there.
Man, that's cool.
But being that he was the one that was over the Moors, when they caught him up, they put it on him. And the reason why they did this is because during that time, that the Moors, they couldn't really search him and all that type of stuff. They couldn't really harass him because of religious issues. So they used the chairman case after they convicted him falsely. They used that case so that anywhere in the United States of America now, you can do a religious person just like you do regular people.
Wow.
When they couldn't do that at first. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
and the
sir.
guards were already upset and frustrated and mad. Check this out. They wasn't even trying to investigate the Moors when they was coming in there. It was All Love L cousin that was working with All Love L on the behest of All Love L, who had the camera. The police said it. They didn't know nothing about this. He volunteered this to them.
Wow.
All Love L cousin. So this was a setup.
Yeah.
He had camera already and everything more. They set the chairman up, and this brother in Chicago told me this. And listen to what he said.
Because he spoke out against the grand body.
He set him up because he spoke out against the grand body.
All right.
Because the chairman was calling them out for drug dealing. He was telling them that you can't have no grand sheiks in prison. So that's what him and All Love L got into it about. And so when the chairman was going to expose him for corruption, he act like he surrendered, like he was going to do the right thing and double bite and set the chairman up, double cross.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And got him locked up. That's what happened. This fool is running around here talking about the chairman, and he got that from the brother Sadiel. Sadiel told that. Now I got some recordings, where I can expose a whole lot about Sadiel, but this ain't his business, and me and the brother all right. So I ain't gonna go there. I ain't gonna be nasty. But Sadiel will tell you he was doing some thing while he still had his feds on, and he was a Moorish American. So, we ain't even got to get into that. If I show you some of that stuff and I got it right here, literally, I can expose it. But I ain't going to do that, like I say, because he ain't got nothing to do with this. Even though he is the one that put this stuff out here to these brothers. And they the one taking it hook, line, and sinker, and they running with it and calling, the chairman what they calling him without having proof of this. And you're going to find out when I play this what really happened. And you're going to also find out and see that, because I got the case. I got the whole thing that come up through, the lawyering court thing I'm finna go into now. So I crushed this lie. And this would be the fourth time, because you seen I showed you these videos where this brother done made this claim.
Right. Right.
Every chance he get, he trying to make this claim, saying the chairman is a drug dealer. And now you gonna put me out here and try to make it look like we dealing drugs when we
Wow.
don't even deal with that type of stuff.
I know that's right.
It's a snake, bro. That's a police.
Yep.
You know, you're an agent
I
provocateur. Now
agree.
watch how I do him. Right now, watch this.
Hold up.
Yeah, because I got callers on the line, man.
Yes,
Come
sir,
on, let's
yes,
go.
Sir. Yes, sir. I'm gonna let you go. I just want you to hear this.
Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna make this plain. So he was set up, and the guy that got the drugs in the prison was All Love L cousin. He was the one got the camera. Guess who took it to him? A police officer. A police could be the only one that pulled that off. And this is the document that the brother referred to right here. The government document. And look what it says briefly before we open up for our family. Look at what it says. It says, Mr. President, the sad part about it, this was not uncovered by some great work done by the prison itself. There was an inmate who participated in taking pictures of people having sex, not the chairman. Tarhaka, you liar. You say the chairman took pictures. During the religious service, he passed these on to the authorities. So it was All Love L cousin, who was a police confidential informant, working with All Love L to set the chairman up because the chairman spoke out and was getting ready to bring him up on charges. Now listen to what it said. They had somebody who thought for what was going on there, and that was a little much. It said they would have never uncovered this. They wasn't even investigating the more. This is something they did on the inside. That's how you know it was a setup. Where did he get the camera from?
Oh, shit, he barking back, Tarhaka. He barking back, baby.
It says they would have continued to let these activities go, but it said posing as a drug seller in the maximum security unit, the inmate received drugs brought in mostly by female visitors, many in dresses of the type worn by Islamic women, right? And then it says that basically, I want to get to the part where
but Tarhaka is saying that they got him on camera, though.
No, they ain't got no chairman on camera. This the camera. It was a picture taking camera.
Mm.
Tell him to produce it. Tell him to produce the camera, liar. So basically, a police took these drugs in there to the confidential informant, and the chairman got charged with it. So the drug, can you imagine that? A police on the outside going in, they got the women that's participating in it, because the chairman divorced his wife over there. Karima Cook Baker. She took part in that right there. You see what I'm saying? He told me this. So when it comes down to dealing with these other aspects, these Moors don't know what they talking about. The chairman was set up and he was not kicked out of Moorish Science Temple. That's why I can show you pictures of him making adepts in the Moorish Science Temple just a few years ago. So Tarhaka lying again. You understand? And Sheik Road would pray to hell. Matter of fact, I'm gonna show you them pictures after the family come on and talk.
All right.
But this man don't know what he's talking about.
All right, brother. I said earlier, brother, unshare your screen. Unshare your screen, brother.
So
coming back.
So you see that right there, brother. You see
Yes,
how I debunked that lie.
Right.
This fork-tongued agent. You see?
Yes, sir.
This is exactly what happened. And that's right, Ray Sean Irvin. We give honors to your family. You couldn't have said it better. You're right. The government's sole purpose is to maintain the wealth of the wealthy. Police sole purpose is to attack individuals assigned as the enemy of the state. Big facts. See what I'm saying? It don't take our people. They can see through this foolishness.
Right.
And Tarhaka Bey, is an agent. He's an agent provocateur, and he revealed his name in our so-called debate. He say, you're dealing with a Trojan horse degree that you don't even understand. He said it 2 or 3 times. The Trojan horse concept comes from Greece.
Right.
When one flanks one on one side and basically infiltrate on another side.
Right.
In order to bring down the empire. That's the real symbolism behind a Trojan. That's why I named this agent Trojan horse, because he called this out. He said that's what he is. You got me?
Yes, sir.
And so I drug him and Lord Abba on that discussion right there. So what it is, he tried to come out and slander the chairman publicly. And right then I brought the paperwork up there showing you that it was all Love L's cousin that was in the prison and that the police took the drugs to him.
Wow.
And they set the chairman up because the chairman them basically was untouchable at that time because they couldn't just deal with religious people any type of way.
Okay.
Chairman wasn't participating in that. They was already doing that anyway, moving them drugs. You see what I'm saying? And so he got blamed for it. He got blamed for it. But to just hear that brother from Chicago tell me, he said, I know the name of everybody that was involved. Saying the chairman wasn't there one of them people.
Wow.
He said, I know because I was demonstrating. That's what the dude said. He said it himself. You know what I mean? I ain't going to put that brother out there, but he told me, and he named the ones, it's a lot of them that's in the temple right now. He named a couple of them and said who the ones was that were participating in that stuff.
Wow.
So Tarhaka Bey is a liar. Tarhaka Bey wasn't no more than probably 4 or 5 years old. That's another thing. He wasn't in no Moorish movement, but he running around here talking as if he was right there.
Wow.
This guy, I was told, like I said, the guy like to get on the alcohol, beat his wife. He has Asperger's syndrome. So he's suffering from some mental issues as well.
Wow.
He be on medication.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean? And
Yes,
that's why he get in the media acting like he do. Now watch this. Watch this. I did a video in response to that.
To new era in time. And we know that there's only one authority when it comes to the Moorish Divine and National Movement, and that authority comes through Prophet Noble Drew Ali himself.
Now watch how he lied.
So when you get into that special aspect there, you will see where we're going. So as you can see, our subject title on this agenda is Agent Trojan Horse.
Okay, it's not
an Operation Noble Temple. Again, it is Agent Trojan Horse, an Operation Noble Temple.
I mean, it just shows like a desktop.
Why did we
I got you.
Title this special measure as such? As you can see here, you see Agent Trojan Horse right here. You see Prophet Noble Drew Ali on the manifest right here, right? But who is the founder?
Okay, it's showing you
called Noble Temples, which one says doesn't exist. We're gonna point that out in a minute. We want to bring clarity. We ain't here to just demonstrate a whole bunch of slander and so forth and so on. We here to bring you the truth. Because everybody say they following the prophet, but everybody want to do their own thing. You see? So let us come here. I want to start with this special mention. These are words from his mouth. We got a little time to run a bit, but we ain't gonna go too far into it. You can look into it yourself. The title is actually here. Let me remove that as well.
I don't believe in such a thing as the prophets ran by. Prophets ran by. The prophets ran by.
He said, wait a minute. He don't believe in what? He don't believe in anything such as the prophets ran by. So if you don't believe in the prophets ran by, then you don't believe in the prophet's divine constitution.
Right.
How can you be following Noble Drew Ali? I pointed this out last night in the discussion at hand. But many of our judges that were on the manifest, I don't blame them for not being knowledgeable because it wasn't their responsibility to be knowledgeable within the realms of Moorish science. Although in the end of the discussion, there were many who sat by and they reached out to me and they were saying, brother, you definitely demonstrated Mag as being legit hands down. And he also knew that. And that's why he was upset, even though he received what would have been called a win. And that too, we will see was basically a measure that he received due to a lack of knowledge of the people. And that's why he was upset. He knew as well as I do that they didn't even know what the discussion was. So it wasn't about winning or losing. I was trying to extend the olive branch to the brother, but he had so much hatred in him. Well, you seen the video and you seen how it went down there, and you know how it went. We ain't gonna tarry long. But listen, this is what he goes on to state after he made that statement. He don't believe in any such thing as the prophet's grand body, right? But he followed the prophet law.
For one to be the prophet's grand body, they would have to first imitate the structure of the grand body as laid out by the prophet. Then they will have to show that there's an unpossession of the prophets.
Can't hear you, bro. If he says.
As well.
I say you can tell he reading from a script.
Yeah. I mean, this guy is so far off, though. I mean, it just don't make no sense.
To 2019.
Okay, y'all see it now.
And the minutes I speak of, it would be convention minutes of every year to verify that you are the original Moorish Science Temple of America. You have to display charters with the prophet's signature on it.
Now, let me stop right here. Here, you see this brother telling those who are in the temple that they are not in the temple. This is something that you've been hearing me saying to different Moors throughout the years, and you would often hear me say, the prophet had actually 15 temples that stood strong. And then you would hear me ask them, I asked Sadiel and a whole bunch of them that were placing themselves up as an authority. I said, show me your charter with the prophet's signature on it. I said, well, if you don't have that, just show me the address of your temple. Whereas I can trace it back to one of the 15 that was mentioned on the letter in 1928 in that first convention. And this is where you have those who flee. And I confronted Tarhaka with this same argument 2 years ago, year and a half ago, on his show and everything else. And now he turned around and he used that same argument to separate himself from his leadership and establish his noble temples. And I guess he's saying that he structured this after what the prophet established. You see? So now, let me give you a view as to these noble temples. These noble temples, right? This is Tarhaka's page of his noble temples. And we also heard, by the way, that the brother didn't pay his bill. Now this is not a lawfully chartered organization. You won't find a noble temple anywhere in Baltimore when you go into the Department of Corporations. And he would tell you it has not been incorporated. So if he was following the footsteps of the prophet and following the prophets, we know the prophet didn't use the term noble temple. As you can see right here, Moorish Science Temple of America styled as the noble temples. You see, because he can't use the name Moorish Science Temple of America because there are other corporations that are using that name. So he added noble temples to basically differentiate itself from what was already established, right? But yet he's saying that he's following the prophet. And then he said that
I'm gonna let you see it in a minute. Better yet, I'm gonna go there right now. I want to go there now because it's right to go there right now. Listen to what he says.
Prophet Noble Drew Ali appointed Emeliel, his grandson, gave me not only a charter, but gave me my credentials, the same one. So I got 3 people in line. I got Emeliel, his grandson. Oh, let me put it the other way around. His grandson, David Belial, who gave me my ADAP credentials.
Listen good.
I got Emeliel, and then it goes to the prophet. 3 people.
3 people, right?
What are you talking about? But now, let me tell you, my temple is not called Noble Temples. As you can see, this is a copy of 3 different charters.
Now, he say his temple not called Noble Temple, right? Now, I just took you to the website, that he has right here. You see Noble Temple right there, right? We're going to go back up here to the top of this website page. Better yet, we ain't even got to go there. You just seen it run across the screen. But there it is again, Noble Temples, right? He say he don't use this term, right? Now, go back here. We want to make sure. I want to walk through this because we don't want anyone to go past this. Now, look here. You see Noble Temples right there. Right after he said he don't call this temple Noble Temple. There it is again, right? Which the Noble Temple is not a lawfully chartered Moorish Science Temple of America. There it go right there in big, bold letter, Noble Temples. So this guy will make a statement and come right behind that statement and cancel it out just as soon as he speaks it. You see, only a blind man or a deaf man couldn't see this right here. But listen.
This one on the right side is Belial Charter. This one right here is our charter. And this one on the left side is the charter of C. Kirkman Bay.
Okay. He gave you Belial charter, his charter of the Noble Temples. Then he gave you, he said, a Kirkman Bay charter, right? Now, Belial's charter doesn't have Prophet Noble Drew Ali's signature on it. He admitted that in the discussion last night, right? His charter doesn't have the prophet's signature on it. Okay, so I told the brother, if you trying to do the work in uniting the temples, okay, big ups to you. All is well. Do that work. But what is the problem with you coming after the Moorish American government? Because the greatest lie that's being told is that, the Moorish American government and our flag, we saying that's the flag of the Moorish Science Temple. We never teach that. We say this is the flag of the Moorish American government. That must be understood. Also, we don't say that our Constitution is the Constitution of the Moorish Science Temple of America. We say our Constitution is the Constitution of the Moorish American government. There's an unfoldment process that has to do with that. This is what he doesn't comprehend and many more. Now, I want to go back to his Noble Temples briefly and show you the membership that he has here, right? These are the members of his Noble Temple. Hold up, let me make sure. I want to make sure I get it up here. He had it up here. Okay. He got that password protected. Now he really got only 3 people up there. He got him, the same one. If you was in the meeting that we demonstrated in last night, he has himself, his wife, and there it go right there. That's him and this brother here. These are the only 2 people that's here in his page. But these are the Noble Temples, right? These are the Noble Temples, right? And then he has his wife present as well in this Noble Temple. Again, we're not beating him down for trying to do what he feel like he think he doing right. But why is it that he has a problem with work that other people are doing?
that are not even paying attention to it. You see, to whereas he has to come out and attack the Grand National Chairman of the Moorish American government. So this makes me say, who sent you? You know, that's the question I asked. And he did this recently too, family. He had here where you could actually see, you know, all of those who were involved. Now he took that off so you couldn't see the 3 people that's there. But it ain't but 3 people in this so-called noble temple, which is really non-existent. You know, it ain't even a corporation. It's not even lawfully chartered. So if you have a charter, then who granted that charter to you? Because it didn't come from, you know, Baltimore, because I searched it in the search engine of the Department of Corporations. You see? So here's one that has created an organization in his own mind. He say he the founder now, but he say he following Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Oh, and also he is the Grand Sheikh and the chairman. You see, he ain't just the Grand Sheikh, he the Grand Sheikh and the chairman. What in the world? When have you ever known, you know, any leader appointed
I couldn't hear you.
He the Grand Sheikh and the chairman. You hear that?
Right, I see that. That's
at the same time. We ain't talking about unfolding 2 different times.
Think about anything like
right
that.
There. You know, so he gonna just be the whole act 1. Grand Sheikh and the chairman power to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the prophet and the grand body of Moorish America. So if he don't believe in the grand body, then who is it that's putting him in check? How can you even have a structure without a grand body? But he following the prophet though, right?
And there's other charters out there. In fact, in the video, I'm saying that the temple has been destroyed and now we must rebuild it. And so it brings us to this conversation again. Who is following the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali? It must be rebuilt because we got swindlers like this guy and his squad trying to act like that they.
That brother is really
bringing
about a confusion around.
But let me tell you what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali says. This is an article from Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
I want to make this plain because I think this might have went over somebody's head right here a little bit.
This guy, C. Kirkman Bey. This is the same guy that usurped. You talk about Pleasant Bay, the same one. So I got 3 people in line. I got Emilio, his grandson. Oh, let me put it the other way around. His grandson, David Belial, who gave me my ADAP credentials. I got Emilio, and then it goes to the prophet.
Notice he says just 3 people, right?
What are you talking?
People,
but
right?
now, let me tell you.
Yep. That's recording.
Called Noble Temple.
What? He say his temple is not called Noble Temples. Now you just seen me show it to you a whole bunch of times, right?
Right.
We're gonna go into that a little bit more, but let's talk about his leadership real quick. Now, here's a history that's put out here briefly on the brother Mealy. I just want to touch on this one portion. We know that the prophet appointed him as supreme grand sheikh and so forth and so on, but Mealy himself spoke of the prophet's grand body in a lot of his letters. So for him to say he come through the line of Mealy and then say he don't believe in the prophet's grand body, it's Moorish confused. He's crazy. That Asperger's syndrome is really getting to this one.
You
know? So listen, check this out. By then, Mealy only retained leadership over Temple No. 1 in Chicago, but possessed Drew Ali's original documents. Several years later, after the leadership feud, Mealy suffered a stroke and was set to live with his family in Mississippi by his wife, Delia, I think that's how you say it. It said, who was unable to care for him, and he died in 1935. This is a year after Kirkman Bay usurped the movement while on a business trip, no longer living in Chicago due to infighting. Now watch this. Following his death, Delia Millie Eel, notice her name is Millie Eel, right? So she had to receive her last name from the brother Emil Eel, right? It say inherited Noble Drew Ali's papers and used them to place William Morris Eel, who she was rumored to have started a relationship with after her husband's death, in the position of Supreme Grand Sheik. Oh my goodness. Now here's a sister that was married to the brother Mila. You know, I don't know anything or heard anything about this sister being a Supreme Grand Sheikess, but from here it's saying she gave these credentials to her husband that she married after the death or started a relationship with after the death of brother Mila, after she took him to Mississippi. And then she gave him the position of Supreme Grand Sheik. So Tarhaka, this right here, he say he only had 3 people that takes him back to the prophet. Now William Morris L came before Bailey L. So it would have to go from Bailey L, or does it start there? And then go to William Morris L, then go to Mila L, or actually it would have to put the sister in there, since she a Sheikess. Because even though she may have had those papers or credentials, she doesn't have the power to make Morris L a Sheik, the Supreme Grand Sheik at that. She could give that information to one and so forth and so on, and they learn and they grow from it. You know, but when he talk about, you know, the line of succession, we can already see something is off here. So it say over time, his leadership, meaning William Morris L, was rejected by many of the members of Temple Number 1. Now, if Mila L was the one that retained the leadership over Temple Number 1, and this was rejected by those who were actually followers of Mila L, because in other words, they didn't like what the sister had done. And if they were still on the manifest, then why would she give them the paperwork? And then in response, some of them turned, and you know these wasn't with Kirkman Bay, because it said in response, some of them turned over Noble Drew Ali's documents over to Kirkman Bay, thus strengthening his legitimacy as Noble Drew Ali's successor. So if she gave that credential to him, and then those who were actually following the brother Mila Eel in Temple Number 1 got upset, and in response, they turned the paperwork over to Kirkman Bay, it says a lot. Now, it is said that brother Mila Eel, may peace and blessings be upon him, lost favor, you know, because there were Moors who pointed out certain vices they say the brother had. You know, I'm not one to pass hearsay, you know, on and so forth and so on, but they say this is why they turned against him. But that don't make sense, because Kirkman Bay himself had the same type of vices. And as a matter of fact, when he passed form dealing with those same type of vices in a bar fight, according to the records. You see? So something just ain't right with that aspect. But the thing is, let us stop acting like anybody has the authority, including our brother Bailey L, who wasn't even born yet. And I'm going to prove this to you. Now, this ain't even the full open record right here, but this is the actual record dealing with the line that goes back. This is the sister Delia Mili, which is the wife of brother Emily, right? She was a mother-in-law. So if she was the mother-in-law, then this means somebody wasn't actually of the direct bloodline of her. A mother-in-law often comes when one marries the daughter, you see, of one. And so this sister, Bailey L here, Rosa Bailey L, she was married to Edward Bailey L. Now, I don't know if this brother Harry B. Bay is in this line that I'm going to show you, but I seen something in this line of succession. He says only 3 people, Bailey L., Mealy L., and then the prophet. We already crossed that out because we see the sister Delia there, and we see her appointing William Morris L. as the sheep. You see? Now, here in this family lineage, we see a larger. This is just like somebody staying there, not meaning that they actually related or whatever the case may be, but they there. So now, here's a daughter here. And this is Gertrude Bailey L., right? Coming from Edward Bailey L. and Rosa Bailey L., right? And then you have the son, Edward Bailey L. Jr. So I guess this would be our brother, Bailey L. Now, how did Bailey L. become related to Mealy L? Because surely if he came through the line of Mealy L. directly, then he should bear the same name, right? If that was his real grandfather. Now, if the sister or the brother descended, from the sister here, because this would be the parents of Bailey L., Edward Bailey L., Rosa Bailey L., right? So if he descended from these two, and they come forth from the line, one of them through Mealy L., then you would think that they would carry the same name of the father. You see? Sometimes people keep different names and it don't change or whatever the case may be, but we know Melia's name was Melia. And he gave the name Melia to us. So I don't know, was she a Bailey L? I have no knowledge of that right now. But what I'm seeing here is this mother-in-law up here, is kind of fishy there. But that's a whole nother measure. How does a Bailey L come through the line of Mealy L? Maybe they can bring some clarity on that. You see? Now, I want to say that this larger Harry B. Bay, may be the one that's mentioned in this line of succession here. Right? Now, notice right here, this is Supreme Grand Sheiks of Moorish Science Temple of America, according to the successionist line coming through Mealy L. October 1928, November 1934 is what they give here, right? They saying that Mealy L lineage stopped here. So if Mealy L didn't appoint Bailey L, and Bailey L was born, I think it's in 1939, then how could he make you an adept, even if he was the grandson, to come through that line? Just because he born through the line of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, that automatically make him a grand sheik? That automatically gives him the credentials? Come on now. Goodness gracious. It was people that the prophet had appointed, and they all went the other way. Some of them we see that tried to stand, but when she gave the measure to somebody else, then they gave everything to Kirkman Bay then. So it was a lot of infighting, but he said it was 3 people between Mealy L, Bailey L, and him. So he think he the third in line, right? He think he the 3rd generation. But we see here William Morris L, 1934. These credentials, remember, they were given by his wife, according to that reading, October 1935, right? Mealy L had passed for him, so Mealy L wasn't the one that gave it to him. And Mealy L wasn't even dealing with those type of appointments and structures at that time. So if his wife did that and he was against that, and she took him, way back to Mississippi and got in a relation with one and did contrary to that, goodness gracious. But anyway, you had Morris L, you had Walton Bay to come forth, you had this brother W. Harlan Bay, and that's the one that I was saying that may be this brother. Harry Bay. But you know, that's just my assumption. I can't prove that. I'm just thinking such. But anyway, this particular one right here, this is a nothing in the line. It's another brother here, Lewis L. Right? This is another brother, Bailey L. coming in here, right? So Bailey L. come in here, and then later he gets cast out. You know, because it say that they were expelled from the office of Supreme Grand Sheik. And a lot of people saying that, you know, our brother Bailey L was expelled due to lewdness and so forth and so on. You say they found pornographic magazines, and this is why ones took justification to go and try to strip him of the prophet's paperwork and credentials. You see? This is a bunch of stuff going on. So as Tarhaka is trying to make it seem like his lineage is so squeaky clean, and he came as the third man on the manifest, we see 1, 2, oh, we got to mention the sister, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then he would actually be one that received, he wouldn't even be the 8th, because it's actually brothers that was there before he came on the manifest. But, you know, he trying to claim himself as being third in line. So we can see that ain't true just by this special measure, right? I'm going to go back over here because I want y'all to hear this. Listen to what he said.
You have to display original Qurans, original questionnaires, and everything that has been handed down by the prophet. From the original temple number 1.
Oh, you seen him mention the original temple number 1. Now, the original temple 1 are the ones who gave the paperwork to Kirkman Bey. The ones that were left over, because Kirkman Bey was the one that earned the favor. But at the same token, they was more upset that she had appointed William Morris L., you know, without a grand body, without anybody convening. I never seen that done before. The prophet, the only one that could do that. But she did it, and that upset them. They say, well, we're going to give it all to Kirkman Bey then.
Original appointment letters, original officials, bank statements wouldn't hurt.
So you see, brother Marvin Edwards Bey, you see what's going on with this guy.
Right, right, yeah.
And
I mean, yes, sir.
You see his lineage is wanting.
Right.
A lot of the people in his lineage come forth with adept credentials.
Right,
so
right.
even his sheikdom that he claiming ain't really sheikdom.
Yeah, he's false all the way around.
Yes, sir, he's false. And so he established his noble temples, and he want to come after the government when the chairman himself, brother, was taught directly by the adepts that come through the lineage of Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Right, right.
Go figure.
That's almost like them brothers. You know what I mean?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So I mean, I don't really have to go any further beyond this right here. It's
right.
more in that particular drawing. In the videos, it's just so much, and we know it's late at this particular hour, and we just want to expose this guy because he getting ready to go live again and try to slander us again. You know what I mean? And like I say, it's an honor, you know, to bear the burden of my chairman. If it is meant for me to be hated as he is to be hated, then I accept that. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I ain't whining, crying, nothing about it. But I know this right here. I know that all that have ever come up against me, you know, since I've been in the higher self, you know, and being upright, independent, and fearless, the great God Allah has always been my protector, my guide, and my salvation. Surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah, Lord of the world. No associate has he in this I am commanding, I am of those who submit. So when it comes to dealing with that aspect, we ain't worrying about all the folly. We just letting the community know that this guy Tarhaka Bay is an agent. He is an agent and agent provocateur.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
I'm gonna stand on that right there to the world blow, family.
Yes, sir.
This guy is not right. He's misleading our people, and justice is most definitely on the manifest, and he will be exposed. Trust me, in due
Yes, sir.
time, he
Yes,
gonna
sir.
be exposed. As the snake that he really is.
Hmm.
You see, and
Yes,
so
sir. Absolutely.
yeah, but we gonna give our people a chance to get some rest or whatever. Honest to all of you family that came in to look at this. I know a lot of our people pick up on it tomorrow. And we just want to give honest to you family and say keep up the good work. We here to teach our people, man. We trying to educate them. And
That's right.
this is the same thing that has been going on since time began. When it come to our people, we seem
Right.
to always have that Judas goat amongst our people, trying to mislead them, misguide, and misdirect the course.
Yeah.
You
Yes,
know,
sir.
they call that the fear and the rise of under the J. Edgar Hoover doctrine, fear and the rise of what they like to call a quote unquote black messiah. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yes,
And
sir.
so anybody that can electrify and unify the people and bring the people together, they become a threat. You see?
Absolutely.
And so we ain't gonna stop. And like I said, I'm built for this. That's why I went through what I went through in my younger days. You know what I mean?
Yes,
All that
sir.
opposition that I faced made me stone still pretty much when it
Hmm.
comes to this type of stuff. It just rolled off my back. But I want my people to know, that we here to teach you, we love you. We're gonna keep giving you this truth. We can see the enemies moving, but that ain't nothing to us. Cause the same thing that I say right now on this forum,
Yes, sir.
I'll say this in the presence of Rome if I got on the stand and tell them
Absolutely.
what I feel about them. And I
Yes,
ain't
sir.
vulgar. You understand? I ain't vulgar and disrespectful,
No,
but I'm
no.
telling the truth. You know what I
Right.
mean? And the
Right.
difference between me and Tarhaka Bay is I die for what I believe in.
Yes, sir.
Make no mistake about it.
Yes,
You
sir.
know what I mean? I
That's
really
where we
dropped the
at.
guard for what I stand on. You feel me? He just
Yes, sir.
talking.
Right. Right.
I know the extent that I go through for my people. So
Yes, sir.
from that standpoint, we're gonna keep on teaching the people, uplifting the people, and guiding the people. And so at this time, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna close it out with a classic track, brother, and we're gonna let the people rest easy. So
Yes, sir.
let me give you a drawing here. Let's see here. I'm gonna pull one of them up and we're gonna take it home. I'm gonna pull the most perfect one I got up here.
All right.
Let's see here. Okay. Definitely got to give the people some good vibes to lead with. Okay. Want to give honors to you again, family, for coming through with the love.
Yes, sir. An honor.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you this right here, and thank you, brother Marvin Evans Bay, as well, for coming on the
Gratitude.
map as grand man.
Gratitude to you for having me.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Hold on. Yes, sir. Here we go, right here. Let me share the screen. All right. All right. You can see this, brother.
I can see your screen. Okay, now I see.
You got us.
A man was lynched yesterday.
Yes, sir. And yeah,
Hmm.
just mute your mic out so
Okay.
it don't get our yeah, get the audio. Okay. Peace and love.
Nothing. No picture, no audio.
Negro along behind him to undo what he said. You have to read the history of slavery to understand this. There were two kinds of Negroes. There was that old house Negro and the field Negro. And the house Negro always looked out for his master.
Yeah, it's that sacrilegious blasphemy. Revolutionary speech to make them blasphemy. And I put it all on the line to see my people free. Even if it leads to Roman legions crucifying me. Yeah, it's that sacrilegious blasphemy. Revolutionary speech to make them blasphemy. And I put it all on the line to see my people free. Even if it leads to Roman legions crucifying me. Blood diamonds in our veins, so we breathe creep. Every nigga's a potential donor for a small fee. Over the years, I gave my blood, my sweat and tears. Upright, independent, and fearless, and it's all clear. They want to see me on my knees with my hands out, but I refuse to be a bigger ninny chasing clout. Your favorite rapper, honor master, he's a faithful slave. Phallus worshiping pagan rights for minimum wage. And I say the things that these house niggas wanna say. Can't cancel me cause I'm the coach and watch me lead the way. My footprints are clearly cut cause I'm a big stepper. I leave eternal landmarks, therefore I live forever. My Moorish ties can never be severed. Medieval demons plot to earn acceptance, and I don't have to get ready because I stay ready. Recite these vanishing rituals, these are my confessions, and I got a 7-day theory like Machiavelli. That sacrilegious blasphemy. Revolutionary speech to make them blasphemy. And I put it all on the line to see my people free. Even if it leads to Roman legions crucifying me. Yeah, it's that sacrilegious blasphemy. Revolutionary speech to make them blasphemy. And I put it all on the line to see my people free. Even if it leads to Roman legions crucifying me. Freedom of speech, just watch what you say. Them devils look for excuses to exercise they hate. And soundbite manipulation justify the case. A pig's only agenda is to control our fate. So many snakes and I miss silent hissing like Judas. Filled in malice and greed, but still I see through them. And I can see it in their eyes, they pray for my demise. A crown of thorns upon my head, but yet I hold it high. And I walk with purpose and pride in every step I stride, cause I made a vow to the ancestors to ride or die. So no matter burden of many spirits and lost souls, held captive within the struggle as I unfold. Behold the stripes on my back, look at my broken flesh. I'm speaking truth to power into my last breath. I hear true legends never die, and now I'm legendary. And I live forever through these lyrics, even when I'm buried. Yeah, this that sacrilegious revolutionary speech to make them blasphemy. And I put it all on the line to see my people free. Even if it leads to Roman legions crucifying me. Yeah, this that sacrilegious blasphemy. Revolutionary speech to make them blasphemy. And I put it all on the line to see my people free. Even if it leads to Roman legions crucifying me. Yeah, this that sacrilegious blasphemy. Revolutionary speech to make them blasphemy. And I put it all on the line to see my people free. Even if it leads to Roman legions crucifying me. Yeah, this that sacrilegious blasphemy. Revolutionary speech to make them blasphemy. And I put it all on the line to see my people free. Even if it leads to Roman legions crucifying me.
Yeah, peace and love, brother Marvin Ellis Bay.
Peace and love.
Love you, my brother.
Love you
Yes,
too.
sir.
Right,
Peace and love, and we're gonna get you on here one day, man, so you can get on here and just build. We're gonna start reaching out to our family again, so that Moors can come on the show and get a portions.
Yes, sir. Look forward
Gratitude, brother.
Peace and love.
Yes. We rise in the love and we depart in the love. Islam.
Yes, sir. Islam.
All right. Peace, family.